Hi, my name's Jennifer Etherton. I'm a special ed teacher and I have been for over 32 years now. One of my favorite things to teach is phonics. Because I'm a special ed teacher, generally I don't get kids until they're about in second or third grade because the content starts to pick up and the very basic skills don't get spent as much time on, and it becomes harder and harder for our kids to learn to read. There's a specific approach that I use, and it is a tried and true approach. They actually have an institute where you can go and learn to be a professional phonetic teacher using their name. I have never gone to that particular place, but I have been trained by one of their trainers. I'm very good at what I do, but I have not been trained and given the endorsement to use their name. So, that being said, I'm still very good at what I do, and I hope you will stick with me because you will be very impressed with how quickly your child will learn to read by doing the most basic things that sometimes you'll even think, oh, this is so simple. And you're right, many times it is. But the repetition of what we're going to do is what will help them learn to read. Now, that being said, one thing I cannot stand about YouTubers is how much they love to listen to themselves talk and ramble on and on. So I will try very hard not to do that. So let's get started. So the very first thing you need to do is get yourself some 3x5 cards. If you don't have any, pause this. Come back to it after you do, and pick up from here. You will also need a writing utensil. I prefer a marker because it sticks to the card longer. I've tried pencils and they wear off. So the next thing is we are going to make one card for each letter of the alphabet. Now, that means you'll need 26 cards, but we're going to need some more down the road. So you should plan on at least 50 and maybe a few more for some oopsies along the way. So, how you make your letters is important. Now, I'm doing this specifically for my class. However, if this is not what you're comfortable with, you do what you're comfortable with. If you don't like making your A with a monkey tail, well, then make your A with a ball and then a stick. In my room, when I have a child that's having difficulty making a letter a certain way, then we go by sticks and balls. So an A would have a ball and then a straight stick. Now, some people are used to the A's with the monkey tails. That's called Danielian writing, and that's what many of us were taught in school because it's an easy adaptation to go right into cursive. But for children that have trouble reading and writing, let's stick with the circles and the balls. Okay? So next is our letter B, which is a stick and a ball, just like that. Now, if you notice, when you take your left hand and the letter B and do this, they both do the same thing. Stick, then the ball. So remember that because we're going to use that for the B sound later. Next, C, just 2/3 of a circle. D. This time we're going to go ball and then the stick. Just like with the B, if you take your other hand, your right hand, and put your thumb up and then a fist, the thing is you have to be looking at it, okay? When we do B's and D's, we have them in front of us. So for you looking on, it's going to look backwards, okay? But when I look at my own hands, I can see the letter B and the letter D. All right. I should have caught that on the B, but just so you know that this is real life, I don't plan on being one of those YouTubers who stops and cuts and goes back and adds in and cuts out their boo-boos. You're going to get me and the real me. And the real me makes mistakes. All right. E. Easy enough. Generally, kids don't have trouble with that unless they make them backwards, and that can happen. F. Kind of looks like a candy cane, doesn't it? With a line through it. Now for our G, we have a ball, we have a stick, and a monkey tail. We're going to hold on to that G for a minute because I'm going to teach you another trick with that G. All right, H. You wouldn't think H would be hard, and it really isn't. Stick and a hump. But the hump is only halfway up the stick. H and N, when kids are in a hurry, they look an awful lot alike. So I slow them down and make sure that their sticks on their H's are touching the top and the bottom lines. Letter I, no problem. Short stick, dot on top. Not a circle, not a bubble, not a heart, just a dot. One of my favorite letters, J for Jennifer. And again, dot on top. Not a great big circle, not a bubble, not a heart, just a little dot. Okay? And if you turn that upside down, that one looks like a candy cane too. So we just talk about the upside down candy cane. Or sometimes kids will throw in, oh, it looks like a fish hook. And now for the K. Tall stick. This one is especially close to my heart because I have a little girl whose name starts with K and has a very hard time with her K's. So what I taught her to do was to put a little tiny dot right here. I'm going to make it a little bigger so you can see, but I wouldn't make it that big on a real piece of paper. In the middle of the line, and then each time she goes to make her K, I have her start on the dot and go up and go down. Now, that's the first letter of her name, so it's capital K, and that's not what we're doing. But for lowercase k, it's the same idea. Stick, and you'd find a spot a little closer to the bottom, go up, go down. Note to self, the next time you do this, make sure you put your phone on mute. Sorry about that. All right, next one. What do you think that is? Yep, looks just like a number 1. When I make my L's in real life, I put just a little bit of a bend on the bottom. It's not quite a stick, but it's not quite the Danielian L either. The only time I have kids worry about this is if they're writing an I and an L next to each other, because you can't tell what's what. Next one. M, short stick, hump, hump. You would not believe how many kids make their M's like this. That's just fast and lazy. They don't want to take the time to make their stick first. So that's a goal. Let's not go too fast. It's more important to take your time and be accurate. Getting done is not the goal. Getting it right is the goal. Now we have an N. Short stick, one hump. Remember that H? Let me find that H. Tall stick, short stick. Sometimes they just have to practice that next to each other over and over again to see and feel the difference. All right, here's an easy one. This time we've just got the ball. You may have noticed my ball kind of came over on the top. That's okay. Well, I should say that's okay if it does, because kids aren't really good at making perfect circles, but I'm a perfectionist, so I remade mine. That's why you need a few oopsie cards. Alrighty, next one. This is probably one of the toughest letters kids have with writing because of the uppercase and the lowercase being exactly the same. So, we make our stick and then our ball. Okay? I don't know if you've noticed so far, but every single one of these has been a lowercase letter. For the phonetics that we do, we will always use lowercase letters until the spelling stage. And when we get to the spelling stage of it, then if it's a word that should be capitalized, we would use a capital letter, but not at this point. Now I put that P aside because we're going to come back to that one too. Next, we're going to do a ball and then the stick on this side. What's that look like? Yeah, looks like a 9. But I will take it if that's the best they can come up with. But I always encourage them, when you do that, just make a little line on the bottom. That way we know you're talking about a Q and not a 9. So I put a couple of cards aside because I wanted to come back to them. We have our G, which is a ball and a stick. And then we have our Q, which is a ball and a stick. This one, again, like the H and the N, just take some practice side by side. Like the word giraffe and queen. Do some G's, do some Q's. Okay? And then, when they're making their P's and Q's, let me get those going the right way, P and Q, they'll often get them mixed up by putting the stick on the wrong side. Okay? I showed you, this is a B, this is a D. Well, if we take our B and our D and we turn them upside down like that, can't quite do that very well. You have a stick and a ball for your P, and you have a ball and a stick for your Q. So this is your bed. Bed is spelled B-E-D. And what do you put on a bed? A pillow and a quilt. So we'll use those later on when we're learning our sounds. R. Stick and half a hump, not a whole one. S's. Nobody will ever accuse my S of looking like a 5, but they can from time to time. So make sure you're making good curves on your S. Next one. Straight stick and a shorter stick, more towards the middle, but up a little bit. I would say this is the one letter kids have the hardest time with when writing. They always want to use a capital T because they're not quite sure where this line goes. They know that if they go like this, it looks more like a plus sign. And they know when they write a plus sign that that's not a T, so it's easier just to go like that. So you would think a T would be easy, but it's one that takes some practice. Next, we're going to start here and come down and around and make a loop like that, and then make a short stick down. Just like the M, where they want to go like this, they want to do the same thing with the U. Just go like that and move on. They need to have sticks on that side, on the right side of that hoop. Next, go down, go up. That's it. All right, next. This is one of those letters that, depending on how your child was originally taught, they may go down, up, or do a hoop, draw a stick. For our purposes, that is what I want them to do. We use the down, up when we're doing capitals. But for lowercase, we're going to do hoop, hoop, stick. All right, next one, criss, cross. Not hard. I'll tell you why I'm giggling in a minute. Why? Because I said so. No. Why? I'm going to grab me a marker here. Y and W's are a lot alike. With the W, of course I grabbed one that doesn't have any ink in it. Like I told you people, this is real life. Sorry about that, got a little crazy on me there. That we're going to use for uppercase, that we're going to use for lowercase. Y's are the same thing. When a child makes a Y, they'll do that or they'll do that, but they're not real sure where they go on the line. So for a capital Y, we will do that, but for a lowercase y, we're going to start with that U that we already practiced, but we're going to keep coming down and put a monkey tail on it. So let's do that on the card. Make a U, make your stick, but keep coming until you get to the monkey tail. So why was I giggling? Because I keep telling you this is real life and I'm not going to fix my mistakes. So here we are, and we have one letter left, and I don't have another card because I've used them all to take notes on. So let's use the board. Our last one, the letter Z. We go right, left, right. And there's your last card. That's all we're doing today. So if you don't know your letters, this is a good way to practice. Have mom or dad sit down and mix up the cards. We don't want them in ABC order because we all tend to sing that song in our head and when we can't remember something. So we want to be able to do it by seeing it, not by singing it. So practice your letters if you don't know them. And if you do know them, great. Hang on tight. I will be back and I will show you the second step in learning how to read and write. Have a great day. Bye.